Hi guys, so in this video I'm rather excited to showcase this new AKAI EWI Solo instrument, which is their latest model from the AKAI range. So you'll all know about the 4000, which was superseded by the 5000 and is still part of their current range, the 5000. And now we've got this one just hot off the press. So really this is just a sort of overall summary of this instrument. I'm not going to go into huge detail. I'm going to do that at a later stage once I've really learned how to play this properly. Because I do find it a bit of a challenge, but an interesting challenge, and one that I promise that I'm going to get into in later life. But in summary, what AKAI have done with this instrument over and above the 5000 is that they've just made the whole thing a little bit more user-friendly. So the most obvious feature to point out is this internal speaker. Now, of course, you may be aware of the Roland model, and in a sense this is kind of AKAI's answer to Roland's Aerophone. It has an internal speaker which, I have to say, is way better than the Roland version. I think it has a little bit more volume. It doesn't distort. It feels like the quality of the sound is there within the speaker. And of course, as you'd expect as standard with any instrument like this, it's got a line out so you can go through any kind of amplification system. So that's the first key thing. The second key thing is it has 200 onboard sounds. So the 5000 just has 100 sounds. This has an extra 100 sounds. And they sort of subdivide it into banks as well, as described as 4 banks of 25 favourite presets, whereas there's no favourites in the AKAI 5000. In terms of its construction, it's got an ABS plastic construction as opposed to the aluminium construction that you've got with the 5000. Wireless, okay, it isn't wireless like the 5000 is. Otherwise, it's pretty similar. There's just one other little thing to point out, which I quite like as a feature of this over and above the 5000. It has got a finger hook here. So you can actually play it without the neck strap, but I just prefer the neck strap when holding it out like this. But in terms of its sort of mainline features, very similar to the 5000. We've got all these rollers here giving you 7 octaves. I've just demonstrated one sound briefly there. If I just touch on this and we'll go to some of the different sounds, we'll just scroll through a few so you can hear some variety here. That was a harmonica I introduced with. Pan pipes here, let's just see what that sounds like. Very nice. Let's move it around to something else. Accordion. Very nice. Now I'm not going to go through all 200 sounds right now, but just briefly I'll take you through some of the other possibilities. So effects, we've got a clear button here that says FX. It defaults to reverb. If I press the central button here, let's just select Hall and see what difference that makes. And just going back to the FX button, we've also got chorus and delay. Let's just go on the delay and put on a mirror delay. So we'll add that to the mix and see what happens. Very nice. Some other things to mention, we've got these 2 metal strips down here. You always need to make contact with the metal in order for the thing to work. You can't just free float, you need to have the thumbs in contact, which isn't a problem, it just feels very natural anyway. But on this right hand strip here, it just allows a little bit of a portamento effect between some of the notes. And then down here, again, these features are covered in the 5000, but just to briefly mention them right now, this little touch piece here just allows you to slide down up to a tone, I believe. Very nice. I should really point out that I just find the whole design of this instrument very user-friendly and intuitive, really. You don't really need the instructions. In fact, the instructions are quite basic. It's just a quick start guide, but often you're better just fiddling around pressing the buttons and figuring out how it works. So for example, changing the sound, I didn't actually necessarily see that in the instructions, but as soon as you look at this, it's fairly obvious. You just hit the program button, tells you what sound you're on this OLED screen, very clear, and you just turn this knob here and then hit it to select Ocarina. There you go. So from that point of view, it makes the whole experience just a lot more enjoyable, and you can then just get on with learning how to play it, which can take weeks and months because it is a tricky baby. You know, the business of hitting these metal touch pieces, it's a slightly different experience to actually playing, you know, saxophone, pressing down saxophone keys, flute keys, or whatever. It just takes a bit of a different skill set in order to be able to tune that in. But a challenge that I shall relish personally. So I've just moved it to Ocarina. Let's see what that's sounding like. Yeah, you just heard a 7-octave range there. I couldn't even hear that bottom note, it was so low pitched. So that pretty much summarizes the whole thing for me right now. I'm going to, as I say, go into more detail later on down the line when I can really learn to play this thing properly. But yeah, very excited to offer this new model from AKAI. You can see it on our website currently. The availability is very limited right now, I should point out. So we're hoping new supply comes along soon. See you on the next one.